Okay. Good morning, class.
Good morning.
Thank you. Well, music. Going to learn a lot about music today. But before we get into our lesson, I just want to ask two basic questions that anyone's free to answer. What is music and what is rhythm? Does anyone have an idea about what that may be?
Music is sounds.
Yes, music is made of sounds.
Is music following rhythm?
Yes, rhythm is a component of music.
Hey, sorry.
Yeah.
Were all you guys, did you pick sticks that were in the same group? Because Taimana.
Not, I'm 117.
107.
Why?
Because I remember you said 117 there in this.
Yeah, he's
Yeah,
Yes.
What was your stick?
117.
117. And then
because he got the star and he asked me to come and do the video.
what's the issue?
The issue is they're missing somebody from their group, but that's all right. Carry on.
Okay, thank you. Sorry for the interruption.
Music is organized sound and time.
Yes, that is a very good definition. I like the definition a lot. Okay, so so today we'll be dealing a lot with rhythm and music. And so just a basic definition of rhythm is a strong, regular, repeated pattern of movement or sound. It also has elements like tempo and different other elements that we will get into today. And so today's lesson outcomes are right here. So at any point, if you want to refer back to them, right there. And can I get one person to read the lesson objectives for today? Tanner.
Students can distinguish eighth, quarter, half, and whole notes as well as the accompanying rests on a staff. Students can identify a signature staff and measures in a piece of music. Students can use the above notes to fill two measures of music.
Okay, so there's a lot of words up there that probably some of you are not familiar with. That's okay, we will get into them and it'll be totally cool. Okay, so we're going to deal with two things in the first topic of note types, values, and measures. So a measure this is an example of three measures. It's made up of 5 lines and 4 spaces, and it's the most basic part of a piece of music when it comes to written notation. So this is where most of the elements of a piece of music are compiled. And making up the measures, one of the elements is notes, and they represent the duration and pitch the performer is to play or sing. There's many different kinds of notes, and today we'll really only be dealing with the rhythm of a song, so you don't really need to worry about the pitch. So we're going to focus on counting and making sure we know how long notes last in music. So the first 2 notes that we're going to deal with are quarter notes and half notes. And so quarter notes, the one over here, they have a value of 1. And we'll get into more what value means in a sec, but just know that that's how long the note lasts. It lasts for 1 beat, technically. Half notes have a value of 2. So just as 1 is half of 2, a quarter note is a half of a half note. And so there's some mathematical ratios going on. Crazy stuff, I know, mind-blowing. So don't worry, the minds will not stop blowing. They'll keep exploding. So the third type of the note we will study is called the whole note. So given what we know already, can anyone guess what numerical value a whole note would have? 4. Bingo! So we have a quarter, which is 1. We have a half, which is 2. And so if you take a circle,
3/4.
yeah, so you take a circle, and let's say you divide it into 4 pieces. So it's divided into quarters, and so you have 4 quarters that make up a whole. And so you have, so 1 would be a quarter. And so if you take, and then if you took this part, you have 2, which is the half, and the whole thing is 4, which is the whole note.
What's 3?
3 is a dotted half note, but we're not going to deal with that today.
Okay.
Yeah. Dots in music just further divided in half, so just another thing to think about. So, yeah, a whole note has value 4. Another way to express this is to say a whole note gets 4 counts. And so for today's purposes, value and count mean roughly the same thing, also beat. So I'll be using those words interchangeably, so count and beat will be what I'll be using to describe the note's duration in the lesson. So, as you can see, there's some mathematical patterns going on here. So, to make notes bigger, musicians make notes twice as large. How do you think they make notes smaller? So just as we have multiplied the numbers by 2, do you think there's something mathematically we could do to a note to make it smaller?
Small divide.
Subtract.
Divide it by,
2.
yes, divide it in half. So if you can do the same process backwards. So you can take a whole note, which has a value of 4, divide it in 2 to get a half note, and then divide it further in half to get a quarter note, and they actually go smaller. And so 2 quarter notes will make a half note, and we'll see these notes further divide themselves. So an eighth note is the next smaller step. It's half the duration of a quarter note. So if we refer back to the circle over here, we can take one of these quarters and cut them in half to make an eighth, so that it will have a value of 0.5, and that will be the eighth note. So 2 of these notes, this was how you would demonstrate the value of 1 quarter note.
Okay.
I'm moving too fast. Is anyone confused?
No,
No.
no.
Everyone gets it?
I never had music lessons with
Yeah.
so many math.
Yeah, music and math are very related. They're very closely related to each other. So yeah, if anyone has any questions, please feel free to stop me, and I'll be happy to clarify any concepts.
So this is 0.5 and this is
So yeah,
a quarter.
yes, so this is 0.5, and so each of these notes is 0.5. Together, they are 1.
Okay.
So yeah, it'll all make sense in a sec. We're just teaching notes and values. It's hard to see in context until we actually put it together. So this is how we put it together. Is everyone okay if I erase the circle?
Yep.
Okay. Wait. Just kidding. Okay. So the next thing we're going to talk about is something called time signatures, and this helps put everything in perspective and makes the numbers make a little bit more sense. So we'll learn about notes and measures, and there's a big part missing from our measure. And so a time signature tells you how many beats in a measure and which note gets the beat. And so as I said before, beat and count mean roughly the same thing. So we're going to be dealing with 4/4 today. So that is a time signature. It's the most common time signature in Western music. Almost any pop song you hear on the radio will be in 4/4. It's very toe tappy, very catchy. So what this means is the 4 on the top means that there are 4 beats in every measure, and the 4 on the bottom tells us what kind of note gets the beat. So can anyone guess what kind of note gets the beat in a 4/4 measure? If we refer back to the circle of ratios,
I don't,
yes,
I think it's the 4th one, or the first one.
The whole.
the 4th or the first one, the whole. You would think because of the 4, but unfortunately that is not correct. It is your other guess, the quarter note. Because I'll just draw an example up here. So if we have a measure, which is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 lines, and it's in 4/4. How we would write one measure of 4/4 music is we would draw 4 quarter notes. So we have 1, 2, 3, And so, 4/4, as we know, the top shows that there are 4 beats in every measure, and the 4 on the bottom tells us that a quarter note gets the beat. So think about this number. Think about if you have a whole and divide it by this number, what kind of note would you get? You know? So if you took 4 and divided it by 4, what would you get?
1.
And what note has a value of 1? A quarter note.
Quarter.
So, and it's really easy to remember because 4 quarters make whole. So this is how you would write one measure of 4/4 music. There's lots of different combinations of notes you can write, but this is just one example. Everyone understand?
Perfectly.
You sure?
Yep.
Okay, because we're going to be doing examples in a sec. So,
Nothing clap to it.
no, I'll count it. Just putting different notes in the measure. So, okay, yeah. So there's lots of different time signatures. There's 3/4, there's 6/8, there's 5/4. But today we'll stick to 4/4 because it's a whole lot simpler, and these get really complicated. So, you could just add a little bit to note value. It's how long you hold the note. This is determined by time signature, the note type, and something called tempo, which is basically how fast a song goes. And so if you take like the Star Spangled Banner, it has a tempo like da na 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 na. So that's like, it's kind of a slower pace, basically how fast the song goes. And so this is a little chart of a rhythmic breakdown of how notes could be split up in a 4/4 measure. And so don't pay attention to these. These are called 16th notes. We can get there another time. So this is the unit duration in beats. So we have a whole note with 4, we have a half note with 2, we have a quarter with 1, and 1/8 notes with 1/2. So there's a little visual representation of how notes can be split up.
So that's 4 quarters
I'm sorry, there's 4 quarters in.
of 1? Or is this?
So each quarter note has a value of 1.
Oh,
So this number represents each note. So yeah, one single whole note has a value of 4. And each half note has a value of 2, which adds up to 4. Each quarter note has a value of 1, which adds up to 4. So in 4/4, everything's going to add up to 4. So if you just think of these numerically, it'll all add up just fine. Got it? So, now that we're familiar with a few things, let's try putting some notes and measures. So if we refer back to our regular measure, like this, we'll just redraw it. So one example was just having 4 quarter notes in a single measure. So what is one other combination of notes we could use to put notes in a measure?
What are the double ones called again? 8 notes? Octave notes? Or what?
1/8 notes, yes.
8 notes.
So 1/8 notes have a value of 1/2, so 2 of them would equal 1 quarter note. So what's one note we could put at the beginning of this measure?
2 8 notes.
Yes, so we could put 2 1/8 notes. And so what is our value of the entire measure right now?
1.
1.
Yes. So we have 3 more beats to fill. Catherine, can you give us another note?
Half note.
Okay, a half note. So we have a half note. And so how many beats does a half note have? 2. Yes, because a half note has 2 beats, and 2 is half of 4, which fills half the measure. So right now we have 3 beats in our measure. So what is one other note we can put at the end to have a measure of 4 beats? Maiva.
1.
Yes. What note is that?
Quarter note.
Yes, a quarter note. Okay. So, yeah. So that's one combination of notes we could put to fill a 4/4 measure. And so if we have, this is what it sounds like, just to give you a little idea. So we have ta 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 ta. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4. Ta 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 ta. So that's what that measure would sound like. So let's erase this and try another combination.
16th note.
16th notes we will cover at another time.
No.
Please, yeah.
We'll cover them when we fully understand
Thank
all
you.
of these notes. Is it? Oh, really? Okay. Well, Mana, do you want to give us a note of how to start this measure?
Whole note,
How many beats does a whole note have?
4.
Yes. And so if we have one whole note in the measure, the whole measure is full.
What's the sound? How does it sound?
So if you have a tempo like this, so you have 1, 2, 3, 4, just really long. Whole notes are used in like, if you were going to take an orchestra, you'd have the really low
Oh, the
strings,
yeah.
just holding really long notes. So that's an example of how you would use whole notes in music. Okay. Yeah. Okay. Well, it took a bit longer than I thought, but is there any questions I can field before the next person gets up here? We're good?
We're good.
Okay.
Well, what's the thing with the designs? Can you go back to the notes?
Oh yeah.
Oh, behind. Yeah, this one.
This one?
Yeah, what's the matter with the shape?
It's just how you would write individually. And
So they would recognize that it's.
Yeah. So something we didn't get to is something called rests, which is basically where you don't do something in music. It's the opposite of a note. So it's like if you have a quarter note, that means that you would play for one value. And so then if you had that's a quarter rest, you would not play for that value. Yeah. So anyway, basically notes look differently if they're connected to other notes. And so this just shows that these two notes would be played together and this note would be played by itself.
Now I know.
Yeah. It's a cool design. Looks cool, I think.
Design.
So yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.